Welcome back, csc235, to part 4 of our ex5-tipcalc. And what we're going to do here is use a conditional statement just to make sure somebody puts something in this field, and also just to make a little alert display if they don't put something in there. So what we're going to try to do, we'll try this out, instead of making another function, we're going to see if we could just put an if statement, an if-else statement inside our ctip, so we don't have to change anything that we already have set up. We're just going to kind of build in a little kind of checker inside our ctip function. And what we're going to do here, and actually I think the best thing to do is actually after the variable for total meal is declared, because we're already getting the value, so we already have a variable for total meal. That way it'll be easier just to write this code. So that's why after that, whatever they put in there, I'm gonna, and we'll see if this works, because this may be an issue, but we'll try it out. We can move it if it doesn't work, but I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna say if, and I'm gonna say if, and then in parentheses I'm gonna put a condition, and I'm gonna say if total meal, because I already have a variable for that, if total meal, and I'm gonna put equals equals, because that's our special symbol that means if it's equivalent. So equals that we normally use means we're setting a value or we're displaying something. Equals equals means if we're testing equivalency. So we're using a special symbol, equals equals. So if total meal is equal to nothing, which is basically an empty string, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put another little, it's almost like a mini kind of statement with curly brackets inside of here. Then here's my condition. If this condition is met, if it's blank, that means, and it's blank when we hit the button. That means once we hit the button, it's testing this, not at the beginning, because it would always be true in the beginning because nobody would put in anything yet. But once we hit this button, it's part of the ctip function. If we hit this button and nobody put anything in here yet, we want to do something called window.alert, and we want to put a little alert message, and we're just going to say, please enter a total meal amount. That'll be like a little, and I'll put a exclamation point, so I really mean it. And let me make sure I got things spelled right here. So if nobody puts anything in when I hit that button, because we're in this function, it's going to say please enter, let me fix my errors here, a total meal amount. And then a conditional statement means if something is met, do something. So if there's nothing in there when we hit the button, that's what's going to happen. But what if somebody does put a value in, which is what's supposed to happen? Then we're going to use an else. So we're going to say else, and I'm just going to put else and make a curly bracket. And now it's putting two curly brackets right here. And actually what I want to do is kind of put all this stuff inside that else curly bracket. So I just want to backspace this. And I'm getting a little error here because now it's getting confused, because you have to have an even number of curly brackets. So I'm going to put this bracket here. And again, just to review, just to look at this whole thing, and I'll even kind of move this up a little. There's actually there's actually 6 brackets in here. There's our 2 brackets for our entire function for ctip. There's the starting one. And if I click in here, you'll see a little underline. It's hard to see, but there's the ending one. And then for if, here's the starting one, there's the ending one. And then for else, here's the starting one, there's the ending one. So there's 6 total. There's 2 curly brackets for the entire function, which is ctip. And there's 2 curly brackets, one for the if and one for the else. And I basically put all the things that are happening here when people put a number in as the else part. And the only if part is if they don't put something in. And you could go both ways with this. You could have the if be if they put a number in, and the else is if they don't. So, but we're doing it the other way around. We're kind of checking it right from the beginning, saying if they don't put a number in, we're going to give you this thing. So we're going to see if this works by using the variable here, because we didn't actually make it a parse float until after the fact. So let's just see if everything works okay here. So I'm going to save this, and I'm going to try it out. Let's see if we don't put in a number, what happens. Please enter a total meal amount. And I'll hit OK. And it's good, nothing showing up here. And then let me put in something like 50, and I'll hit ctip, and it works. And let's just try it again. I'll go down, ctip, there's let's see, a 10% tip. It's $5, that works. 55. Let's see, a 25% tip. And our 25% tip is not working when we do that again. Let me go down again. That's working. Here's our 11%. That's working. That's working. That's working. That's working. Oh, so it doesn't like it when we put in a number here. So we might have to fix that. But for now, I think as long as we hit these things, that's working when we use the up and down arrows. But actually when we don't use, when we just put a number in here, we'd have to fix that. So that'd be something else to fix, but we're not going to worry about that right now. Everything's working as long as we use the up and down arrows. But that's why it's good to test it out, because somebody might just highlight that and put their own number in there. And that would make sense. That would be quicker if you had to go way up and you wouldn't want to be hitting that button. Or maybe you'd want some kind of slider or something like that. So we'd have to fix that. But for now, as long as this works using the up and down arrows, and we hit C-tip, and then let me see if I take this out of here, and I do C-tip, I get an error. Now it doesn't change this. It doesn't wipe this out. So we'd actually have to do something to wipe that out when we reset this. So we could do something to kind of reset our values every time we go here. We don't have that yet, but we could basically have something at the very beginning of our document that sets all our values here, all our variables back to nothing other than resetting. So, or we could have some button here to reset everything. We could also do that too. But I think for now we'll just stop here with that. Since we're at 4 parts, I think that's good. And we used a conditional statement here. We actually skipped another exercise that we do in another class, and we kind of moved ahead here, but I think we're good. So we're going to stop here for part 4, and as long as things are working with your conditional statement and putting your values in here for your meal, you know, whatever they are, and you're doing C-tip and all these multiplication is working out okay, you're good. And then if there's anything else we want to kind of address on it, we could do that later. So that's the end of EX5 Tip Calc.